Bellator 259 Cyborg versus Smith 2. This is the weigh-in recap, predictions, and the full card betting preview. I have a pretty good card coming up here. Friday night, we'll be live for the whole Bellator card, so make sure you guys keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. Smash that like button. Goal on this video, we're going for 90 likes. I think we can definitely get that done. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, subscribe here too, covering all things MMA. And let's start it off. The first fight of the night, Alexander Shabliy versus Alfie Davis. You look at the weigh-ins, I'll be honest, they looked good, both. And I actually think physically, Alfie Davis does look a bit bigger, has a slight height advantage and a bit more muscle mass. Now, he is a southpaw, which I do think could be a little bit tricky for Alexander Shabliy. I do think the striking advantage, technically, though, I have to still pick Alexander Shabliy. He's a very dangerous striker, but I by no means think at the minus 400 money, this is an absolute lock pick. I mean, he should win, seeing that price tag, but Alfie Davis, southpaw, trains with MVP. He can be unorthodox, too, at times, but is, more traditional than Michael Venom Page, for sure, by a far amount. He does throw some decent body kicks. He likes that front snap kick. He also does have some good rear leg head kicks from the kickboxing range, and he's constantly moving. Shabliy on the other side, solid kickboxer and a very patient fighter. He likes to take his time, move inside of boxing range, and he does mix it up very well inside of that boxing range. He's also pretty fast, and I'd say he's hard to hit. His head movement's good. His defense is very sound. For me, I gotta go Alexander Shabliy to win a competitive fight decision, but I don't necessarily want to throw down for that minus 440 price tag by any means. Let's quickly look at best fight odds and see what they're sitting at. Around minus 465, minus 400, depends where you're going. The only prop for this fight, there's the fight goes the distance or not. Don't really love the play on that. I do think we could see decision, so maybe the minus 180, but I don't like it. It's not one of my more confident plays and not something I will be playing personally. If you want to throw Alexander down on a parlay, you can, but I don't necessarily have interest in playing him on my safer ones. Maybe the higher risk ones, you just need somebody to add, and you're not feeling that confident in anybody else. But still, don't love the bet on Alexander Shabliy here over Alfie Davis. I think he wins, but I don't like the bet. Going prediction, Alexander Shabliy by a unanimous decision over Alfie Davis, but bet personally skipping that one out. Next fight, Brett Johns, Danny Sabatello. I got to say, Danny does look pretty thin at the weigh-ins. On the other side, you got Brett Johns coming in good shape. Granted, height difference slightly. When you look at the face-offs, they didn't look that much different, but one of them may have had their shoes on. Danny Sabatello's a beast of a wrestler, very heavy from that top position. Brett Johns on the other side, very good with his submissions. I can see this fight being ultra competitive. I like the fight goes the distance bet here a lot. We'll talk about that value actually real quick. Let's see what it's sitting at. Okay, so minus 170, that's honestly not a bad tag for it at all. I think that's actually a really good price. Sabatello, he does have some improving striking. He's effective with his takedowns, though. That's his game. But on the other side, you got Brett Johns, who's a really solid grappler. He likes to work towards that control inside of the clinch. He likes his takedowns as well. And I mean, he's going to chain wrestle at times. We saw that in his last UFC fight. 6 wins by submission. On the other side, Sabatello never been submitted, only has 1 loss as a pro. That was a knockout loss. From the top position, he likes to look for submissions. I think neither man gets tapped on the ground. I think that we're looking at competitive grappling action. I could see Danny Sabatello winning this fight. I like him at the dog value. I think it's sitting around plus 200. He's not on the lock of the night picks, but he's on one of the dog of the night picks. He's definitely one of the bigger ones, the plus 200 price tag. I think he can win this fight. 3-inch height advantage. He has the range advantage for the striking from the kickboxing range. I feel like also being taller can assist him a bit in the clinch with leveraging. I think that Danny Sabatello can win this fight against Brett Johns, but it's not going to be easy, and he's really going to have to fight to the best of his ability. I think he can, so at plus 200, if you want to play it, I do find value in it, maybe the more riskier parlays that you have, or just betting it straight for that plus 200 money. It's not going to be an easy fight, but I think Brett Johns matches up fairly well here. Or excuse me, Danny Sabatello matches up fairly well here with Brett Johns. So we're going Sabatello to win this bout, and we're doing it by a decision. All right, let's get to this next fight on this prelim. We got a ton of prelims to cover here. Leah McCourt versus Janay Harding. McCourt, good judo, improving striking, definitely heavy from the top. Janay Harding on the other side, moves well, kickboxes very well. I think her ground game has definitely improved. That Jessie Malay fight, though Malay is not, extremely high level by any means, but still a capable fighter. And the takedown defense was decent from Janay. Put on her back. She's getting back up to her feet. She's improved a good amount. Leah McCourt misses weight, 149.4. So that's not necessarily a good thing, but it also kind of plays into the grappler's advantage, having physical strength. Personal opinion, women's MMA is crazy. Low-level women's MMA is insane. I would skip the bet on this fight. Janay Harding, I have her winning it. She is the underdog, but personally, I would say skip the bet. And with the weight miss, that confidence drops kind of significantly, just simply because I don't think Leah McCourt's out of shape. I think she chose not to cut the weight. Fight goes the distance is a very possible play in this fight, but I think Janay Harding does win it, not necessarily thinking that confidently enough to place a bet. Leah McCourt misses weight. And when a fighter misses weight, that can make all of the difference. Riding Janay, but who knows with this crazy fight here. I think if you want to bet it, bet the dog. But I would not advise anyone to play with too much money on that one because it's just a crazy possibilities of result. Let's talk about this one, though. Heavyweights in action. Davion Franklin, he's a hottish prospect, I would say. Tyler King on the other side is in quite the opposite position. A lot of straight losses, all knockouts. You look at Davion Franklin, kind of disappointing win over Ross Houghton. Beat J.W. Kaiser in the first round, who he's not at a high level. Tyler King has fought the better opposition before, but he's looked awful against that opposition. A lot of knockout losses. He's in an imposing force. I mean, the guy's 6'5". He's in good shape. He's not fat by any means at heavyweight. But striking-wise, he's not capable. Davion Franklin has much more striking skill. I feel like Davion Franklin is going to be throwing big overhands. I think he's going to land one. I think he probably puts Tyler King down in the first round. But at minus 930, I don't like the idea of playing with a 2-0 heavyweight with a fair amount of my money. It's just not something I'm willing to do. What I am willing to do is tell you guys, fight does not go the distance. That is a lock, and a lot of people have bet it. You saw why there's been a spread in it at minus 350. I'm telling you guys, that is the play to make on this fight if you're looking to play bets on it. Fight does not go the distance. If King wins, it's probably a weird submission or a crazy punch. If Davion Franklin wins, which he should, it's going to be destruction, probably ground and pound TKO after he had hurt Tyler King on the feet, or maybe he just knocks him straight out. So we're going with Davion Franklin by destruction over the huge underdog Tyler King at plus 585, suggesting the fight does not go the distance bet, not the straight bet on Davion Franklin. Next fight on the card, Aviv Gozali versus Sean Felton. Sean Felton looked intense at weigh-ins, and he does look ready to go. I think that he's here to prove a point. He has a huge opportunity. Aviv at the 470, no. I'm not playing him at minus 470. Not enough footage on Sean Felton. I've seen some of his game, but not enough that I would feel comfortable betting against him. And I've been impressed by the grappling of Aviv Gozali, but I don't necessarily think the opposition is notable enough for me to go say, hey, I'm going to bet a lot of money on this guy against a 5-2-1 Sean Felton, who's taller, physically was very imposing, and is definitely the physically superior of the two, but it's mixed martial arts, it's fighting. Aviv Gonzalez, with his skill set, if it's as good as we've seen from him, and his opponent here isn't at the level that's not expected. I guess the matchmakers expect a certain level from Sean Felton. Aviv should win this fight. If he's better than that level, there's a chance he beats Aviv. I'm going knockout for Aviv Gozali, or excuse me, submission for Aviv Gozali. I like him to win this fight inside of 2.5 rounds. I think it could potentially go the distance. So if Sean Felton is very game and maybe Aviv Gozali just controls from that top position, Plus 185 for fight goes the distance, so they're not expecting it to. The minus 485 price tag is not good. If there was a submission prop, I'd aim you towards that. There is not. Skip the bet on this fight is my personal opinion. I'm not playing a bet here. I don't think you guys should either necessarily, unless you know something more about Aviv Gozali. He just hasn't had that high-level experience yet where I want to throw money down. But let's talk about this next fight. Prelim bout, Sumiko, Inaba, and Kristina Katsikis. I will be actually pulling up some of the images from the weigh-ins because we do have them here. Let's get them sized up properly. Let's see how this looks. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Okay, we're looking at Sumiko Inaba, who looks fantastic on the scales. Kristina looks like a tough girl. She got those big traps. You know, she's a tough Southern girl, or excuse me, South Shore girl. I think she's from Boston, actually, right? Yeah, she's a Massachusetts gal. Those Massachusetts cats are tough, and male or female, they're tough people. And we've seen a lot of those tough fighters in MMA. Sumiko Inaba, on all paper, should win this fight. But when it comes down to it, let's see how Inaba deals with a girl who's not really very technically sound at all on the feet. Like, her stand-up's actually pretty bad. She would throw this, like, really awkward right hook, and it just looks weird. It's just not a good style, and her head's there to be hit by punches. She is physically strong and has decent wrestling. Inaba, 7-1 amateur record, has shown good kickboxing, decent work in the clinch, improving grappling game. I think Inaba should get the win here. I could see it going 3 rounds. I like Inaba to win by TKO, but another one at minus 550, not recommending playing it. The value is just not good enough for the risk of these unproven fighters with just one pro bout. It's not an intelligent play. Fight goes the distance. I don't know. I think that it's a knockout for Inaba, but if Kristina Katsikis can somehow land takedowns, we might be seeing her grind out a decision win at plus 125. I don't like the dog bet here. She's lost to an 0-3 fighter in her debut. I'm picking Sumiko Inaba knockout, but not going to be playing this fight money-wise. I don't necessarily think it's a good place to be betting. It's not the fight to bet, guys. The next one, prelim. Tyree Fortune, Grant Neal. Tyree, always a little bit of pudge in the midsection for him. Do we have any weigh-in image for this fight? I guess they didn't give it to us, unfortunately. All right, it's all good. Tyree Fortune, Grant Neal. Tyree, as I said, a little bit of pudge in that midsection. Grant Neal, more physically imposing, but it's MMA. One thing I will say, the heights didn't look necessarily 6'2 versus 5'11. It looks more like 6'1 versus 5'11. So maybe a 2-inch, 1.5-inch height difference. We'll see when they get in the cage. Maybe one of them had the shoes on. But I still feel like Grant Neal is physically more imposing. The wrestling threat is going to be there. Tyree Fortune is decent, but he really doesn't always turn it on. We see him kind of being a bit hesitant. With Tyree being a southpaw, though, I do think could pose some potential threat on the feet. I like Neal to win this fight, but I feel like there's only certain bets you'd want to play on this one. I do think there's props for this fight, if I'm not mistaken. No, there's not props here. Okay, well, I will say, I think Tyree Fortune is probably good enough to go 3 rounds with Grant Neal. Grant Neal has some decision wins, but he's also got some finishes. Both guys only 5 bouts. With only 5 pro fights, Grant Neal, fairly strong favorite. I think he wins this bout. Don't love a bet on him. If you're looking to play him in the riskier parlay, I think you can do that. It's better than betting the women's MMA fights. But I still feel like you got to give Tyree Fortune some credit. His brother's pretty skilled at heavyweight. He's a decent enough light heavyweight, but sometimes he just struggles to pull that trigger. Both guys on weight too. No issues there. I'm going to pick Grant Neal, and I think Grant Neal works towards feeling decision victory, but I'm not super high on either of them and not high enough to throw a significant amount of money down. If you want to throw Grant Neal in one of the riskier parlays, definitely do so. But I don't love the straight play on Grant Neal here at the minus 250 money. Next fight of the night, Saad Awad versus Nate Andrews. Now, Nate Andrews should definitely win this fight. I'm just going to say that straight out. As far as Andrews, southpaw, PFL veteran, has shown good kickboxing skills. Chris Wade was able to beat him twice in PFL. That's where his losses lie there. He's got some pretty good straight punches. With Awad, I mean, he's a pretty decent striker, but he's really hittable down the center. Got that really square stance. Now, both of these guys over 35 years of age. Does that concern me? Absolutely. I think Saad Awad might be slightly shot. I've just seen so many losses, and when you start seeing fighters pile up loss after loss, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign here. I don't think Nate Andrews is necessarily a top flight contender, but I do think he can win this fight. And he should beat Saad Awad. He really should. I mean, he just got signed as a 16-3 fighter from the PFL. He got a win over Rashid Magomedov. That's a pretty big win to have, and that's not one many people would have expected. For me, I got to ride with Andrews for a decision win at -335. He's a parlay edition. Don't love the straight play. I don't think we have any lines available for props on this fight either. No, we do not. We got those mostly just on the main card. Fight goes the distance is an all right one at -165, but if Saad Awad's chin is shot, he's going to get put to sleep here. So it could be a weird situation. I'm telling you guys, Nate Andrews for the victory. That's my pick in this one. Maybe a parlay piece, but not feeling them all that much. Now, let's get to the main card, though. So we should have some props for these main card fights here. Smash that like button if you have not already. As I said, goal 90 likes. I think we're going to smash past it and surpass it. Looking forward to this Bellator card tomorrow. We're doing the live stream here over at MMA Experts. We'll be doing the full card fight companion and the play-by-play. But let's start it off. The first fight on the main card, Valerie Loureda versus Hannah Guy. Guy has not had that much high-level experience. 2-1 as a pro, but granted, really hasn't. Loureda hasn't either. But I will say she's in Bellator, so I guess she's had the eyes on her from the start. Her opponent is probably not going to be used to having people interested to see her fight and having fans there. Or excuse me, there won't be fans there, I guess. So that really doesn't throw. We don't have fans back yet. That's next month. Bellator is bringing fans back. I think June 11th is the first show to have fans back. But on the side of Hannah Guy, decent grappler. I've seen okay takedowns and some okay top control. But the stand-up's really mediocre, and Valerie Loureda is a striker, a dangerous striker. She moves very well. She does have that Taekwondo background. Her whole family is like Taekwondo black belts. She likes to throw the strikes from range, and she'll move in and out of range at a fast pace. Sometimes I don't like what she does. She kind of like runs away from her opponents, and she'll actually like truly run at times. But it's still fairly effective for her, at least on the level she's fought at. But at -575, man, wide spread. She should win by knockout over Hannah Guy. And she should probably do it in 2 rounds or less. If she doesn't do that, does it hurt the stock? Not necessarily if she puts on a dominant display. What I need to see from Valerie Loureda is dominance. There's no props on this one either. I guess it's because it was supposed to be a prelim fight, but then that Ben Parrish-Edwards fight is off. -150, +110. I like the fight doesn't go to decision if you're looking for a reach here, because I think Valerie Loureda should get a knockout in this fight and beat Hannah Guy. She's 3-0. She has all the appeal, and let's see if she follows through and ends up getting a W. Do we have the weigh-in image from these two? Hannah Guy, Valerie Loureda. Here we go. Valerie Loureda, very stylish and looking fly at the weigh-ins. That's her game. And she does have a decent following, I believe, on Instagram. I think in this fight, though, the pick is definitely going to be Loureda by knockout. Next one on this main card, working towards that main event. This one's pretty good. Jaleel Willis and Maycon Mendonça. Mendonça, he's good. He's improved a lot. He's got a win streak going for himself after a bad losing streak over at LFA. He got knocked out a couple of times. He's not in an easy fight, though, at all. I mean, Jaleel Willis has a very good wrestling background, and his base is extremely strong. He doesn't fear takedowns from opponents, so he'll let the hands fly as he's not worried about what's coming back. He's also a former LFA champ. You look on the other side, the Thai-style striker likes to brawl with the opponents. He likes to throw those big overhand punches, but also has improved his game and gotten a bit less wild in recent bouts. Still, could be in trouble here against Jaleel Willis. The better wrestler is Willis. Submission-wise, of course, Mendonça may have some threats, as a lot of the Brazilian fighters do. But I think Jaleel Willis should win this bout. And I think decision or knockout, I just think he beats Maycon Mendonça. He opened as the favorite, but later in the week has closed at the dog. I think he's sitting around the +100 price tag. See if I can find this here. All right, -110, -110. Pick'ems. Basically pick'ems. And I'm going Jaleel Willis for the win in this fight. Let's see if we got the image from the weigh-ins here. Maycon Mendonça, Jaleel Willis. Not much of a height difference. It says 5'11 to 6'2". It doesn't look as to be that significant. The reach only 1 inch different. I think Jaleel Willis gets inside and lands big punches. I'm gonna really predict. I think he gets the knockout here, but I could see a decision too with that good wrestling. Could get dominant position, cage control, and having a win over Mark Leminger, I think, is a fairly respectable thing. Even though Leminger's not the most high level name, he does have a pretty decent skill set and that difficult wrestling to deal with. But let's get to the next fight of the night. Let's actually hold on. Let's pull up before we do that. Where is it again? Jaleel Willis, Maycon, Mendonça. Fight goes decision, -175, +135. I just want to see if there's any value in the Willis knockout prop still. Willis wins inside the distance, +425. That's pretty good. I would say just play inside the distance if you're looking to play Willis with a prop. If you're looking to bet him inside the distance, knockout +600, submission +2,000, but more value on the +425 because there's a lot of ways this fight could end up going if he hurts Maycon Mendonça. I got Jaleel Willis winning this fight though, and getting it done here, moving up in this Bellator welterweight division. Let's get to the next fight of the night. Fabian Edwards versus Austin Vanderford. Super excited to see this matchup happen here. The brother of Leon Edwards lost to Castelo Vanstinas, but now gets a big matchup against Austin Vanderford. Both top-rated guys in the Bellator middleweight division. Winner really moves close to that title shot. Both contenders at this point. Truly, the 28-year-old Edwards, 31-year-old Austin Vanderford, wrestler versus kickboxer, striker versus grappler. You're going to get a chain wrestling attack with Vanderford. He's relentless with the wrestling. When he gets on top, he's heavy on top. You look at his opponent, southpaw, very good from the kickboxing range, and honestly has improved his grappling a serious amount. His wrestling defense is not bad, and that's what gives me the confidence to say I'm going with the dog in Fabian Edwards to win this fight. And I think he does it on a competitive decision. Both looked good. Slight height advantage for Edwards. Both guys in good shape as expected for top Bellator fighters. I'm going with Fabian Edwards. Close decision. I think he does get it done. He's not a bad play. If you're looking for a dog play at +220, I think the odds could be a lot closer. Now, if his takedown defense doesn't hold up and we see in the first round Vanderford just start putting it on him, then that would be rough to see. But I do think Fabian Edwards has the grappling defense. He looked fairly decent against Castelo Vanstinas, even in a close competitive defeat. I think he can win this fight against Austin Vanderford here. Not really loving the props on this fight either, to be 100% honest. Is there some that have some value? Fight goes the distance is -180. Let's see if we can do Edwards by a decision, +300. Vanderford by a decision, +125. So they're expecting him to grind out a win here over Fabian Edwards. I'm going to be going with Fabian Edwards to get this one done, guys. Let's get to the next fight. The co-main event of the evening. Darrion Caldwell and Leandro Higo. If you haven't yet, guys, smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. And let's talk about this co-main event. Just let me get a sip of water real quick. All right. Darrion Caldwell in a rematch versus Leandro Higo. 2 rematches on this main card. Co-main event and main event. Rematches we didn't ask for, but we got them. Higo has improved, for sure. In the bantamweight division, I think that he's a player. He's a top player. Choked out Bandejas, beat Sean Bunch. His loss to Aaron Pico, that was disappointing, but at the end of the day, has improved a fair amount since then, especially on the ground, and Pico's just really good. Darrion Caldwell choked him out early in that first round of their fight. Caldwell, though, losing his last fight quickly against A.J. McKee. He beat Adam Borsch, and he beat Henry Corrales. Decent wins with the grappling attack of Caldwell is difficult to deal with. He's really long for a guy at bantamweight at 5'10", but Higo, no short fighter at 5'8". You look at this matchup, Caldwell is a southpaw. That could be a threat here. I do think he's going to look for takedowns and to get on top of Higo once again, but I don't think it'll be nearly as easy as the first fight. If Caldwell goes into this fight expecting the same outcome and to go in and quickly beat Higo, I think he could be in a bit of trouble. I think Caldwell by a decision in this one is a decent pick. I think he wins this fight by a decision. Higo, though, is going to be a lot more competitive and a lot more difficult to deal with than we saw that last time. The face-off here between these two. Weird mask being worn by Higo. I don't know what that is. But yeah, I'm going Caldwell. I think he wins a decision, but Higo is going to be game, and he's going to be more difficult than that first fight. Let's see some of the plays we can make with the props on this one. Caldwell by a submission, plus 350. He won that first fight by a submission. It could happen again. Even if I'm picking decision, I don't think there's necessarily bad value in betting an inside the distance play for Caldwell by submission at plus 350 because he did choke him out the first time. I think Higo's gotten better. He's still going to be potentially susceptible for chokes. Sprinkle the Caldwell submission. I got Caldwell winning a decision. I think he's a good parlay addition. And at minus 335, he should be a lock pick here over Leandro Higo. The next fight is the main event. We've already gotten to this main event of the evening. The rematch between Cris Cyborg and Leslie Smith. Minus 1,400, plus 720. The odds are huge. You put Cyborg on the parlays, but realistically, you should just bet Cyborg inside the distance. That, I think, will deliver for you. She's going to knock out Leslie Smith again, most likely. She could get a submission here, though. I mean, we have to acknowledge she's got very good jiu-jitsu. I mean, Leslie Smith's known for some decent jiu-jitsu as well. But if she gets caught by Cyborg's fist and Cyborg decides, hey, I'm going for a choke, I think she'll get that submission. She's an explosive puncher. There's no female like her as far as striking goes. I mean, obviously, Amanda Nunes maybe is the one, but Cyborg, the number 2 as far as the baddest women on the planet, or at least at 145. Cris Cyborg, Leslie Smith, it's a big mismatch. It was a mismatch the first time in the UFC. It's going to be a mismatch here. Knockout victory, Cris Cyborg. I think 4 minutes. I could see it 2.5 rounds at the most. I think Leslie Smith doesn't last that long, though. I think Leslie Smith gets knocked out in the first round. But there is a bet that I think might be worth a potential play here. Let's go to Justino. Justino wins by a submission is plus 500. A sprinkle on that, out of all the ways she can win inside the distance, is the only one in plus money, and it's at plus 500. What if she hurts Leslie Smith and gets a submission? I think that's worth a sprinkle. Cyborg is a good prop bet. If you were watching the videos earlier on in the week when we did the best bets, you knew the value was a lot better. But at this point, Cyborg to win inside the distance is minus 500. It was at minus 300, I believe, yesterday. Got to get some of these bets early. Unfortunately, the line has been bought up, but there's still value in some plays here later on in the week after we've seen the weigh-ins. We'll pull up the face-off. Let's see these gals. There's Leslie Smith. There's Cris Cyborg looking shredded. The face-off here. Respectful, of course. Look at the physique difference. Different level. Different level, guys. This is a different level. Cris Cyborg is going to destroy Leslie Smith, and she's going to win the fight in the first round by submission or knockout. I'm hoping submission so that prop bet cashes, but I do think it'll probably be a knockout. Overall, we do have a pretty interesting card. To finish up the video, we are talking parlays, so we're not done just yet. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Subscribe if you enjoyed, if you're new to the channel. And let's talk some of these parlays to play, potential parlays to play. With the widespread odds as they've gotten, definitely not as good as earlier on in the week. Cris Cyborg, minus 1,450. Brett Johns. Danny Sabatello. Oof. I'm just saying names out here. I don't like a lot of these, man. I really don't. This is not one of those cards where, I mean, I like, okay, you know what? Now, it's just because the odds have gotten so much wider since we last did the parlays. Like, right now, I'm not liking. I like Cyborg inside the distance and Darrion Caldwell at minus 335. Minus 179. You got more value early in the week, but if you're doing it now, you still want to make some money, you can still cash. This right here, lock play of the week. This 2-fight, Darrion Caldwell and Justino. Cris Cyborg wins inside the distance. Anything else you play on top of this is going to be a risk. Loureda should win, but it only brings you to minus 125. I don't like it. Is there somebody that I really feel like I want to throw on? There's a lot of unprovens. There's a lot of lesser skilled fighters, or at least like lesser known about the skill set fighters. Even if we've seen a fair amount, how do they react to fighting the better competition? Maybe Fabian Edwards in there for a plus 399. It's going to be possible to hit. But I think more intelligent play maybe is doing the fight goes the distance for a plus 140. Austin Vanderford, Fabian Edwards, fight goes the distance. Cris Cyborg wins inside the distance, and Darrion Caldwell straight. I think this is a 3-fight parlay that is worth the play at the plus 140. Anything you add upon this is getting into risky territory. Nate Andrews should beat a washed-up Saad Awad, but maybe he's not as washed as we're thinking. We could be wrong on that one because fighters have proved us wrong before and come back. Plus 275. Don't love it. That's a lot of fights to bet on. I don't suggest anything more than really a 3-fight parlay on this card. 3 is the maximum. The other one we're going to play is fight doesn't go the distance for Davion Franklin. So 4. I'll play these 4 right here. Plus 209. This is going to be the more high-risk play. At this point, it's really the one that I see with the most value. If you want to throw the Danny Sabatello, Brett Johns one for plus 390, you could do that as well. Darrion Caldwell wins the fight. Cyborg inside the distance. Fight goes to decision with the bout between now I'm totally losing my track here. Where is it? Fight doesn't go the distance with Tyler King and Davion Franklin. Danny Sabatello and Brett Johns. Fight does go the distance. And then we're also doing Fabian Edwards and Austin Vanderford. Fight goes the distance here. Yeah, that was the one we had. Just wanted to make sure. I think that the Edwards Vanderford one could be one of them taken out if you're not looking to play that one. At plus 218, still value in the others. Overall, though, this is a 5-way parlay, 5-fight parlay you're playing here. You got to Mystic Mac it a bit, but at plus 390, it is a good tag. Out of all the dogs that could come through, if you bet Sabatello, you'll definitely get a ton back at you. But there's going to be more risk in some of these dogs. I think this is one of the safer, more moderate risk plays that you can do. Overall, though, we're looking at a pretty fun Bellator card. Looking forward to talking about the whole event live here on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. Goal in this video, 90 likes. Follow me on social media if you guys are interested. Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And I will see you all in the next video.